I'm just sitting here and we're live. Hello out there. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, I forgot. I got to say, welcome, welcome,
Hello.
welcome. Come on in. We're waiting for you. We're ready.
Welcome.
It's been a
Yes,
long Monday, but we're so glad to be here with you. We are
indeed.
here each and every Monday. Of course, you know the routine, right? We are here to push and pull you into purpose. All right. Think outside the red box. This is all about thinking forward. This is all about um, this is all about us being able to heal from our emotions, change our mind, resurrect our spirit. And so, becoming a being, we're committed. We're committed to helping you get past your hurts. We're committed to inspiring you and motivating you and teaching you and instructing you and pushing, pulling you into your purpose. And so you can live life abundantly. All right. So, I want to say hello to my fearless co-host Dion Coates. Dion, say hi to the people.
Hey, hey, what's happening, everybody? We're here.
We are here. So, Dion, how's your Monday?
Woo, girl, it's been a true Monday, okay? You know how they talk about the Monday blues after the weekend? This has been a Monday blues, okay? But needless to say, we're here. I'm still
We
excited
are.
about talking about the subject that we're going to be talking about tonight and still ready
Yeah.
for the people. So we're going to all of that aside and throw in this next chapter.
So, before we get started, we have a few announcements, okay? So, I'm going to share a screen here. So, we told you last week we have been getting ready, and I'm a little tired on a Monday night because I have been all weekend long, and all today working on getting everything together. Hey, Jerusha, Arkansas in the house.
Hey, yay.
And so
Welcome.
I've been working very, very hard. Let me take this off of the screen. So I'm working very, very hard to get this registration ready. And so, Girl Get Up, Think Outside the Red Box presents Girl Get Up. So we want you to join us on January 8th for a night of healing at 8 p.m. All right. Ladies, it's time. I have been hearing people talk. I've been seeing people on Facebook. I've had conversation with folks who approach me, and we're all looking for some type of healing. We've all been hurt. We've all have been misused and abused. We have all been mistreated, and we have been lied to, and our trust has been broken, and we've just, not always been done right. And it's time for us to let that go. We are powerful women. We are.
Yes.
And that's not this, I know we might have some male watchers out there, but just this moment, give me my moment with the ladies. So,
Yeah.
ladies, it's time for us to take our power back. Okay, it's time
Yeah.
for us. No, we can no longer live powerless. Okay, we've got to live in our power. I am woman. Hear me roar.
Hear
So,
me
girl, get up.
roar.
January 8th, 2021, 8 p.m. It's free. It's a free event that Think Outside the Red Box is putting on, just so that we can come together and begin to release some things that have been holding us back. Go ahead and release, reclaim, and regain. That's what we're going to do. We're going to release it all. We're going to reclaim our power, and we're going to regain our mental and emotional sobriety. That's what we're going to do on January 8th. So make sure that you tune in, and make sure you register. I am going to put an event up so that information will be there as well. And so make sure you register. because this is not a public event. This is a private event, and it is only a few. It's a lot of seats available, but I can't let the whole world come. So make sure you register and claim your seat. All right, Dion.
Yep. Well,
Anything you want to say about Girl Get Up?
yep, it's certainly going to be a night of us coming together and sharing some of our woes and even us sharing some of our testimonies and telling you where it all began, how we progressed, and how we're maintaining our emotional sobriety. And it's a daily thing, but first you got to get there in order to maintain it. So we hope that all of you ladies that are been hurt or abused, be it a man, be it family, be it children, or what have you. It's not limited to what type of hurt you've experienced, just that you've experienced the hurt. And this is an opportunity for us to come together and maybe lay aside some of those weights. So we're encouraged and we're excited. We spent a lot of time, we've invested a lot of time in your emotional healing as well as our own. So we want to take you along on this journey. So come along with us.
Yes, come along with us. So y'all got to bear with me. I'm excited. It's kind of weird because I'm excited, but my body is saying, no, girl, you need to just go lay down. But we got things to talk about tonight, okay? So we're going to go
Yes.
through this conversation. Emotional intimacy. Okay, we're going to talk about emotional intimacy. What is emotional intimacy? Now, Dion, I know you and you know me. We always looking up definitions.
Hmm.
Did you look it up today?
I did, but go ahead because I know you got it.
I I got my own definition, not necessarily Webster's definition of what emotional intimacy is, but emotional intimacy is just being able to share your feelings and your basically your emotions with someone in an intimate setting. Okay, and emotional intimacy doesn't necessarily mean in a romantic relationship. It could be platonic as well, but just emotional intimacy is you being able to share and express your feelings in an amicable way, keyword, amicable and effective way with someone else. Okay. It's not emotional intimacy when one, you cannot share, and two, you're not really sharing what you feel, and you're sharing or you're disguising it with a whole different emotion or behavior. So we'll kind of get into that tonight. So, Dion, what's on your mind when we talk about
Yeah.
emotional intimacy?
Yeah, and what you're just talking about is a lack of emotional intimacy when you can't. But yeah, and I looked up the word intimacy, and it's a state of being intimate. It's close, it's familiar. Usually, it's affectionate and it's loving. It's personal relationships with other people, groups, and it's close association, detailed knowledge, or deep understanding of a place, subject, period in history. And of course, we know our emotions are intense feeling. And when you put those two together, you have strong, close, familiar, unusual, affectionate feelings for someone or somebody's. So when we talk about emotional intimacy, it means that some walls got to come tumbling down because it has to allow us to be intimate and emotional with one another. Now, when we think of intimacy, most of us think about sex and we don't think about relationship being intimate one with another and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. But in an intimate relationship, ability to come in, then the emotions of it all can come in and take its rightful seat in your life. And sometimes some of us are so detached that we're not even in tune with our emotional intimacy because of the hurts and the bruises and the different things and the childhood things that we bring on into relationships. And it looked like I've been darked out. I'm not sure what happened, but
Yeah,
Um,
we've lost you. We can hear you
yeah,
loud and clear.
yeah. Well,
I didn't want to interrupt you because you were saying some good stuff,
I
but we
know,
can't see you at
but that's
all.
okay. I'll come out and go back in. But I was just saying that, sometimes we have to be careful because our lives speak who we are, and the things that we drag from our past, if we don't
Hmm.
connect the dots, instead of being intimate and emotional, we'll do just the opposite. So intimacy is a learned behavior. It's not something that we should know. It's something that we have to learn. It's something that we have to practice, and we have to continue practicing it, whether it's in a marriage, whether it's in a girlfriend relationship like you and I. We have to spend time, intimate time together, getting to know each other and understanding each other ways, and making sure that we're respectful and that we're not overstepping boundaries, because sometimes if we're not intimate, it'll allow us to overstep boundaries that we don't have the right to overstep. So yeah.
So now I think that's funny because you said intimacy, emotional intimacy is a learned behavior, but the lack of emotional intimacy can also be
Oh
a learned
my.
behavior, right?
Yes.
We can learn to not be emotional and not and lack showing intimacy. So we, while she's gone, I'm just going to talk about that for a little bit. You know, so the lack of intimacy is it's two ways you're going to lack intimacy. Either you experience some kind of trauma that has caused you to shut down, or it's some kind of trauma that has caused you to mistrust or be fearful, right? And the reaction to that sometimes is to build up walls and shut yourself off from others so that you won't be hurt again. Okay. And so that's when we lack intimacy, because we won't allow ourselves to connect with other people. We won't allow ourselves to feel emotions, and we suppress emotions and we suppress feelings. And, but the reality is we're still feeling something. Okay. Now it's me. I done froze.
I don't know
Hold
what's
on.
going on tonight.
I don't either. This is not acting right. Maybe it's StreamYard. All right. Now this is horrible. I'll use the crappy camera while I try to fix the other camera. But anyway, so something has happened that has caused you to build up a wall and shut down, and no longer will you allow yourself to feel anything because you don't want to get hurt again. But however, there is um, the unlearning of how to be emotional. I want to talk
Mm,
about that a little bit, because I think sometimes we get so focused on the trauma that happened to us that we don't realize that there's another
mhm.
whole different trauma that causes us to not be able to show emotional intimacy. And that trauma is childhood dysfunctional upbringing, right? Our parents didn't give it to us, therefore, our parents didn't teach it to us. And what they taught us was to not speak, not share your
Mhm.
feelings, not express your
Mhm.
feelings. If you're a man, right? Oh my God. And it's still, can you believe this still goes on today with people teaching their little sons not
Yes, and
to
not to be
feel?
hard. Not
Yeah,
be
I
hard.
was I was
Can't
reading
cry.
on Facebook one day. My a cousin of mine was talking about how someone had told her to stop hugging her son. I think he's like 4, because he's a boy, and she needed to stop hugging him because I guess in their mind it was going to make him soft and he wasn't going to grow up. And I'm like, why would you deny a baby? He's still 4, he's
Yeah.
still a baby. Why would you deny them that? And now that, and why would you want to teach them not to be able to feel and to connect and be close to someone? I mean, I can't believe that that's what we're still doing today after all that we see and all that we know, that we still want to instill in our little boys and our teenage sons and send them off to marry women to not be able to show their emotions. Okay. So men,
Mhm.
it's drilled into them that they're not supposed to show emotions. But let me tell you, girls, some of us women, ladies, females are taught that as well. I remember growing up with the mentality that you do not let them see you cry, period. Right? You're not going to show no type of emotions. If someone is hurting you, if something's happening to you, you better hold it in. You better not let them see you sweat. You better not let them see you cry. And that you got to, once you keep doing that, it becomes a norm for you, or it became a norm for me not to show emotion. It became a norm for me not to cry, not to let it out, even if that's what I felt like doing, because it was a sign of weakness. And I was not to
Mhm.
show that I was weak,
Just weak.
right?
Hmm.
So we've got to get away from thinking that crying is weak. When crying really, in reality, gives you strength. There's
Hmm.
strength that you grow when you let that stuff out and release it and let it go. There's a strength inside of you that just comes up when you let it out, right? So, lack of emotional intimacy can be taught as well. But let's talk about emotional
Bef-
intimacy.
Before we move on, Angelina, I just had a thought.
Mhm.
Remember when your mom or your dad were whipping you and say, "You better not cry." I'm like, well, why are you with me if you don't want me to cry? So it's funny how small things like that teach us how to lack those emotions when things hurt. Because I mean, you whipped me, and once you whipped me, I would assume you wanted me to cry because you wanted me to feel it and have an emotion about it. But then they whip you, and then they say you better not cry. It's like, what's the sense in whipping me? Then just have a conversation with me, because it's like you're trying to teach me how to be emotionless and not have those feelings, when in fact emotion from me. So make up your mind what you want, parents. Either you want an emotion or you don't. So my thing is, when I used to spank my kids, and y'all can call 241 kids on me if you want to, because I spank my grandkids. So when I spank them, I say cry, but don't scream. Don't do all that screaming. You can cry. I want you to cry because I want you to sit in what you've done. But I just don't want you screaming, okay?
I'm going to tell them not to scream, Dion. That makes absolutely no sense.
Absolutely no. But because I want them to cry, I just don't want to hear the screaming.
Then
And
don't beat them.
some of the screaming is unnecessary, but I guess if they have to scream, go ahead on and scream. But yeah, we do the adverse thing that we want them to feel those emotions, but then we don't. So trying to take our childhood lessons that we learn and be strong, and then trying to add a little emotion and feelings to it, we got these kids all screwed up.
Yes, we do. Can't be telling the babies they can't scream. I mean, who's not going to scream when somebody
Well,
hits them and it stings?
mine scream anyway, even though I say stop all that screaming, they scream anyway. Okay.
That's
Cry, but
too
don't
funny.
scream. They
That's
scream
mad.
when you're not beating them.
So let's talk about what we need in order to talk about emotional intimacy. And then I want to get into, how you can build emotional intimacy in relationships. So I have a list of things that I just want to talk about here when it talks about the necessary ingredients for intimacy. These things have to be present in order for people to be able to connect, for people to be able to feel it's okay to be vulnerable and and be intimate, emotionally intimate with someone else. Okay. Now, you all listening out there, come on, y'all. What you think? Talk to me. You got questions about emotional intimacy? Are you having problems with emotional intimacy? Are you one of those people who needs to tear the wall down? Are you one of those people
Mm.
who are walking around with the mask on? Are you one of those people who's
Mm.
cold-hearted? You're cold.
Mm.
I think I posted about that earlier when I was advertising this. We're cold. Let's talk about what that looks like when someone is they can't express themselves, and what we have to know is people express one thing, but that's really not what they're feeling, right? What they're expressing is really hiding what they're really feeling. And so when you have someone who's just cold, I mean, just really motionless, like emotionless. They not feeling a thing. They're nonchalant. They don't really care. They have no empathy for other people. you know, that's probably some trauma behind that they've experienced that's turned into true hiding because I don't want to get hurt again. What we got to understand, people, is that a lot of people's behaviors are them trying to protect their hearts. And we do need to protect our hearts. The Bible says to protect your heart, but not at the expense of isolating yourself or at the expense of being cold to others or at the expense of not being relational. Okay, we need to guide our heart, but there's smart ways to guide our heart. I'm not going to get into that tonight, but there's smart ways to guide your heart and still be able to have emotional intimacy in your relationships. All right, so the things that are necessary for the necessary ingredients for intimacy. One is safety. We talked about that last week, or not last week, last month. Anitra came on and talked about um, building a safe haven for communication. Safety. A person needs to feel safe. They need to feel like what they are saying is going to be safeguarded with the person that they're sharing it with. Because if not, they're going to be tight-lipped, closed mouth. They're not speaking. Okay, because they don't want to speak in fear of retaliation, in fear of being put down, in fear of being judged, in fear of being dismissed. Again, now their feelings are getting hurt. So there has to be safety. They have to feel safe sharing. Um, trust. Trust. There has to be trust in order for someone to be vulnerable and connect and share. If they're not trusting you, then they're not going to want to share with you. So we've got to know that if you have broken someone's trust or you have in the past um, not created a safe haven environment for them to be able to express themselves, then that's something that would have to be worked on in order for that person to then feel comfortable. That trust has to be built. All right. Self awareness. We people have to be self aware of how we feel. I am amazed, but I'm not, shouldn't be, but I am, that there are a lot of people who don't even know what they're feeling. They can't describe it, they can't put an adjective to it, let alone be able to express it to someone else, right? And sometimes that turns into anger. Because they're so frustrated that they're feeling a certain way, but they can't pinpoint how that feels. And so we've got to learn how to be self aware of our emotions and our feelings in order to be able to express them. We have to know the difference between I'm angry versus I'm frustrated versus I'm disappointed versus I am bitter, whatever, right? We have to know what we're feeling down on the inside. Dion, I'm I see you nodding. I see you want to jump in.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because I wrote down some of those same thing. A lot of times some people think having emotions is weakness because if you have an emotion that you're weak and they struggle on jobs, they struggle with getting promotions, they struggle in relationships, and they just struggle with their own selves because they feel like they're not good enough sometimes, because it'll make you feel like, if you're weak, that you're not good enough, or that you if you can't, exude those emotions, that you're not good enough. So it can do the opposite. It can flip on you and make you feel other kind of ways, and damage your emotional psyche, where you need to really go get some help. And that's one thing as people that we don't like to do, is surrender to getting psychological help if you really need it. So it's important to know that if you're struggling and you're teetering with being or feeling emotionless and going through all of these things in your mind, that it might just be to a point where you might need to get some help. It also, Angelina, it'll look like depression, it'll look like strife, and look, and definitely anger. So you really have to be careful with those emotions, that because they drive other things and other forces into being, and then you find yourself in a rut and don't know how to get out of it.
So I do want to point out, I got to throw a little plug in here. So we got the Girl Get Up Night of Healing, but we also have the Girl Get Up 30-day fast track program to emotional healing. And in that class, we do teach you how to be self aware of your feelings and express those feelings. And so I will be sharing that information with us here real soon about that program. But stay tuned for that, because if you're someone who is having a hard time understanding your feelings, you're having a hard time understanding what you're going through, or even being able to express it, and you need to tear down those walls, then you're definitely going to want to come to our class that we're having. Not the Night of Healing. That's totally different. The Night of Healing is totally different. We actually have a class coming where we're in that class we talk about self-awareness. But Dion, you said something that made me think about one of the things on my list when you talk about people not feeling adequate and stuff, and self-esteem. Okay, that is another one of those things that we need in order to be emotionally intimate with someone else. We got to have some self-esteem to be able to be confident in who we are and how we feel, and being able to express that, which is another thing we teach in the program. But self-esteem, right? We got to be able to um, not feel inadequate, and again, scared, and that goes back to safety and trust, about expressing who we are and how we feel and what we think and what we see, and knowing that that it's okay to have a different perspective. And that's another one, which is openness. We got to have openness, and we need that on both ends, not just the person who's expressing it, but the person who's listening and receiving it. They have to be open. Their openness is what's going to create the safety and the trust for the other person to express the intimacy, and then the person expressing the intimacy has to be open as well. We've got to learn. Oh my God, don't get me started, y'all. But the masks, we got to take these masks off, okay? I think I said we don't mind wearing these masks during Corona, because we were wearing the masks before Corona. And I'm here to try to get us out of wearing these masks and hiding, and just be honest with yourself and honest with the people in your lives, and be transparent and be free, and walk in your power. Stop hiding who you are. But the thing is, they don't know who they are. They don't know who they are, right? So we hide because we don't know who we are, and we're afraid that people are going to see that we are a fraud or an imposter, right? That's why.
Hmm.
Go ahead. I done sparked
Girl,
something in you.
you done said something when you said you talked about being an imposter. Oh my goodness. We are master imposters, aren't we? We lie to ourselves, that we even believe the lies sometimes. We think that the things that we lie to ourselves and tell ourselves that we are, and we really not, that people are not going to find out who we are. And a lot of times people can see clean through you. They see who you are and what you're doing and how you're hiding, because it comes from within. comes out in other ways. We don't think that, we think just because we're hiding that it doesn't come out in another way. When it comes out, if you have an argumentative spirit, or if you're always judgmental and judging somebody, those things come out and you bleed those things, and you don't really realize how you bleed on people, who you are, because of where you are emotionally and what you're feeling. So even though you're hiding, you're really not, you're bleeding out. People know exactly where you are. They can pinpoint where you are at that moment when you open your mouth and you say things, when you attack folks, and the many different things that we do to get that attention, or non-attention. It speaks loud.
Loud and clear. Oh man. So let's talk a little bit about, because we're at the top of the hour. Let's talk a little bit about how to build emotional intimacy in a relationship. Okay, so we've kind of set the stage as to the prerequisites of what you need the safety, you need the trust, you need to be self-aware of your feelings, you need to be open, you need to have some self-esteem. A couple of things that I didn't mention that are important is presence. You need to be present, right? um, and that goes for the person receiving as well. There's nothing less encouraging than you trying to express your feelings and talk to someone and they're not listening. They're zoned out. They haven't heard. They're hearing every other word that you say. And so presence. We got to be present to be intimate, right? We got to be present to connect. And then the mutuality. It's got to be mutual, and it's got to be reciprocated, right? So those are the prerequisites of the emotional intimacy. But how do you build that in a relationship? And how can you begin to tear down those walls? Well, for the person who lacks intimacy, you'll have to start tearing down your walls first. And you have to tear your walls down, as my apostle gave such a wonderful prophetic visual of this a couple weeks ago. Brick by brick by brick by brick. You got to dismantle your experiences and the things that have happened to you. And you got to start tearing those things apart to the point that when you get to the end, you don't even remember what happened. You don't even remember the feeling that was associated with whatever that trauma was that caused you to shut down. Okay. And throw my plug in here again. We teach you that in our 30-day program. We teach you how to tear those bricks down and how to dismantle those
Yes.
experiences and change your
Yes.
experience of how you see it and how you feel. Okay. So if you are one of those who has the wall up, if you're one of those people who have a hard time showing emotion, then that class definitely is for you. But here we are. We may still have some walls up, but just because we express our feelings don't mean we don't have walls up.
It's
But
true.
now we are in a relationship, we have a friendship, or maybe you're in your marriage and you need to turn this thing around and you need to find some connection again and you need to do this thing over again. I just got a few tips. It's not the only tips, but I'm just going to give you
Yes, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tips on how to build emotional intimacy in a relationship. All right. So the first one is practice non-judgmental listening. I kind of alluded to that earlier, but this is very, 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 very important because if you have a non-judgmental listening, it creates a safe place, it creates trust, and it creates a feeling of openness and courage for someone to be able to go ahead and speak. So this again goes back to creating a safe place. Practice non-judgmental listening. Just listen. Last week we talked about be quiet. Be quiet and just listen. That's it. Most people just want to be, everybody wants to be heard, right? Everybody wants to be heard. So we need you to just be quiet and listen.
Be
You might
quiet.
something. You might learn something about them that you didn't know. You might learn something about how they think. You might learn something about what they like. Just listen without judgment. A lot of us listen to what people are saying and we're ready to just tell them how they're wrong for feeling that way, how they're wrong for saying what they said, how they're wrong for feeling what they're feeling, that how they're just wrong for thinking what they're thinking. We're just so ready to tear them down, right? And hey, hey, boo. And so we're so ready to tear them down when we couldn't just listen. Just listen. Thoughts? Any thoughts, Dion?
No, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of time we because we know people or we know how they're gonna act or what they're gonna do, we prejudge them already without just listening or with being neutral. I think we're so used to prejudging a situation and a person based on past history that we forget that God don't even judge us on the same grounds and basis that we try to judge others. And then we put them in a box and we don't allow them that freedom to do the work that they need to do so that they can be healed. So it's going to be very important that we're non-judgmental and that we just listen, because sometimes you don't have to respond to something or you don't have to fix somebody. God is more than capable of doing that.
All right. The second one, express gratitude. All right. Everybody wants to feel appreciated. We're human. We want to feel loved, we want to feel heard, and we want to feel appreciated. That's human nature. Express gratitude is even for the sometimes the smallest things. Your spouse wouldn't got you a bottle of water while you were sitting. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You
Yes.
know, or your
You
spouse
thought
went out
about
and,
me.
and they thought about you and they brought you something home, even if it was just candy. Thank you. We get so caught up in things not being how we wanted them, and they didn't get me what I like, and this, that, and the third, when we forget to just be thankful for the little things that they might do. All right. So thank you. Thank you for cooking. Thank you for folding my clothes. Thank you for putting gas in my car. We start to get away from that. So express gratitude, because expressing gratitude breaks down walls. Okay, it breaks down walls in the other person, and again, it creates a safe place and an open space for them to feel like they can express themselves. Indulge in each other's passions. This, I think, is a big one, especially in marriage, when you and your spouse may not like all of the same things. And sometimes you just got to grit your teeth and create a win-win and go with them and do something they like. You all should be able to have your own thing that you do, your own thing that you like, that doesn't include your spouse. But in order to build that intimate relationship emotionally, you all have to be able to share in some things that is important to the other person. So therefore, you have to indulge in each other's passions, even if that's not your passion. If your husband likes the fish and you don't like the fish, you ain't got to go every weekend, but you need to go fishing with him. Okay?
Uh-oh. Not fishing, huh?
That was the only thing that could come to my head at the time.
Not bowling or golfing or something, but fishing, right?
I don't know. I grew up with a lot of men that they went
That
fishing,
like to fish.
and we
I
women,
like to fish.
and not very many of the women went fishing. So all the men would go together. But I think sometimes, ladies, sometimes we just gotta say, I know it's a man thing, but or even men. I don't know if I ever have men that's listening to us, but indulge in something that your wife likes to do. And
Like
for
some
those,
good old pottery.
Yes, and for you all that are not married out there, think about this when you're dating, okay? Start off now appreciating each other and indulging in what each other likes. And then when you get married, don't stop doing it. All right, try something new together. Do something fun. Where you can just be free and relax, and there's just no tension and there's no expectations. We're just going to go out, and whatever may, we're going to just go out and have some fun. So try something new together. A lot of times we want to try something new and we're calling up our girlfriends or we're calling up our dudes. Let's do whatever. No, y'all do it together. Um, this is a biggie.
Let me interject there,
Oh,
Angelina.
go ahead. Go
in
ahead.
in this pan in this pandemic, you probably, a lot of people don't want to go out, you want to stay in, but there are other things to do that you can do with a spouse, or with a significant other, or your boyfriend, or whoever. One time my husband, we had a date night and we just had it at home. So what I did was I cooked all the favorite things that he liked, and what I did was I made it like finger food. So we had like finger food, and we sat around and we found a good movie that we both could enjoy. And we laughed and talked. And then I kind of changed the room up a little bit, just changed the scenery, like ambiance, so that it could feel like we were somewhere else when actually we were home. So you have to get creative and think outside of the box. Maybe go to the store and buy that rug or that blanket, and you get on the floor instead of sitting on the couch. So just be creative and see what works, or what kind of feelings you can spark in your partner to make them, invite them into a different world, more or less. So we can create situations. I got this big old paper that say "boss baby," so I thought one day maybe I'll put it up in my family room downstairs and let my husband think he the boss for the day. So a boss baby, you just got to do what you got to do sometimes, make them feel like they somebody, or important at least.
That's funny. Well, that takes me into the second one. I mean, the Lord, I can't count tonight. The fifth one. Be intentional about alone time. Date each other. Dion just gave a nice little creative way of dating each other, but never stop dating and be intentional about spending time alone. So, I've been married 3 years now, and we're very intentional, even more so intentional now about trying to get that time alone, even if it's to go to the grocery store. So we were going to the store one night, and of course the girls is like, "Where y'all going? Where y'all going?" And I don't even remember, but all I know is I made something up, told them that they couldn't go. And then, so when we get in the car, my husband was like, do we have the such and such, or for real? And I go, no, I just didn't want them to go. I just wanted to ride in the car alone with my husband and be able to have an intimate conversation and talk about some stuff without the yelling in the back and the singing in the back and the smart mouths and the begging and all that stuff. I just even if it was just 15-minute car ride, I just wanted that time alone. So you got to make sure you're intentional, especially when you have children, about that time you spend alone.
Even
All
if you
right,
don't have kids, Angelina, even if you don't
that's
have
true.
kids and you're empty nesters, because sometimes empty nesters forget that they still have to carve out time. Just because you're living in a house with him by yourself, or you can walk around however you want, doesn't mean you're spending time together, because he's in one room and you're in another room. He's watching one show and you're watching another. So you haven't invested in each other. You still have to be intentional. So just empty nesters, don't forget, just because you're living in the same house don't mean that you guys finding time for each other. You have to be intentional about doing that.
My last one is therapy. Okay. Now I've given you
Absolutely.
six. This not the only six, but just giving you six tips tonight on how to build emotional intimacy in a relationship. And the last one would be therapy. Um, sometimes you got to have someone that you need to talk to that can help point out some things and help guide you and help the two of you work together and communicate together. And so that might mean that you need to have some couples therapy, okay? And so don't be afraid that if your relationship is not going the way you would like or the way you've planned, but you love them, you want to save this relationship or this marriage, then consider couples therapy. Now, there might be times where maybe you need to see a therapist by yourself. He may need to see a therapist by himself, and then you all come together. But at some point, you all need to come together and have some help, have someone, a professional that can work with you in being able to communicate and start to tear down those walls. And so, as always, if you are in the state of Ohio and you need some therapy, we Michael, hold on. Uh, Empower Counseling Services offers individual therapy, couples therapy, family and group therapy. You all are not new to Michael Montgomery. He owns Empower Counseling Services. He has been a regular on our Facebook Live and our Think Outside the Red Box. Theon, I think we've had him almost like once a month. So he's going to
Mm-hmm.
be here at the end of this month, and we're going to be talking to him on December 28th. So mark your calendars. Make sure you tune in because we're going to be talking about breaking the cycles. All right. So Michael's coming to talk with us about breaking cycles. And again, if you are someone who needs to break some cycles, break some dysfunctional patterns and break some generational curses and change some behaviors and things of that nature, then again, we've got our Girl Get Up program that is coming here in January. Okay, but don't forget about our night of healing. Let me put that up on the screen. I think I suck at navigating. I need someone to just like do the technology for me, have it all ready for me, and I can just sit here and talk, okay? And then not have to worry about this stuff because I've never been a good athlete because I didn't have good hand-eye coordination, okay? So now you can see I don't have good hand-eye and mouth coordination either. Oh my goodness. So anyway, let me put this back up before we sign off of here because I want to make sure you all remember, um, girl, get up. We're having a night of healing, okay? So if you're hurting, if you got some walls you need to tear down, if you need to release some things, if you want to regain your power, if you want to reclaim your life, come register. Okay, this is a private event, but it's a free event. Think Outside the Red Box is presenting this, Girl Get Up. And from this, I decided to name do my class, and the class is called Girl Get Up as well. So for those who want to really put in the work and really do the work, then we do have a class that's coming up in January that is focused on helping you heal your emotions and gain a sense of self, okay, and get closer to God and and begin to find your purpose and just take your life back, okay? It's designed to do that. Dion, any other comments before we sign off
just,
here?
just want to say, just want to say, remember, my favorite slogan is, you teach who you are. And if you don't like what you teach, you have the opportunity on Girl Get Up to come and join us and change the way you think and change your attitude towards some of the ways you do things and your emotions so that you can teach something different. Don't be afraid. It's only a journey. We're looking forward to seeing you there.
Yes. And so this is just a little snippet, okay, of the 30-day fast track virtual journey to awaking the inner God in you. All right. And so we have this coming. I'm excited, y'all. I'm excited about doing this. So I did this earlier this year, and it took me a little while, but I was able to take that in-person class and workshop that I did and turn it into something virtual. And it's a 30-day fast track program, because when I tell you we're going to put in the work, we are going to put in the work. This is not for babies. Okay, this is some serious stuff, and we're going to set a real good, solid foundation. Now, you're not going to heal in 30 days. You're just not. You're not going to heal in 30 days, but you're going to be able to set a very good, solid foundation that's going to um, plant you on solid ground and allow you to continue to put in the work in order
And
to
propel
continue
you.
to heal. Yep, this is going to
Mm.
change the trajectory of your life. Life.
Yes.
When I tell you this is going to change the trajectory of your life, this is going to change lives tremendously. So if you are someone who is ready to release, reclaim, and regain, if you are someone who is ready to be unbothered, if you are someone who's ready to tear down those walls brick by brick, if you're someone who's ready for freedom, then this is the class for you. Okay,
Come join us. Come join us.
come join us. Come join us. All right. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We are here every Monday at 7:30. I appreciate you all. I
Peace.
appreciate you all listening and talking. And as always, I love you. And we are here. We decided, oh, I know. We keep talking. I got to go. But we decided we will be here next Monday as well. All right. We were thinking because it's Christmas week, we wouldn't do it. But nope. We got to be here, y'all. We got things to do. We got things to prepare you for. We love talking to you, but January's Exodus, and we got to get you ready for January 8th, and we got to get
Yes.
you out of
Yes.
Exodus. We've got to get you ready for your exit plan, your exit,
Yes.
leaving the life you didn't dream of so that you can go for the life that you wanted. Okay?
Yes.
That's what we're doing. And so we're going to be here next Monday. We're going to be here on December 28th with Michael talking about breaking those cycles. Okay. Then we're going to have the night of healing on January 8th, because we are here to help push and pull you, motivate you, inspire you, teach and instruct you. Okay. Into your Exodus. It's time to leave Egypt and cross over the Jordan into Canaan land. And this here is
Hallelujah.
what we're going to do in January. So you better join us. And if you don't join us, you're going to be get left behind. And no woman is going to should be left behind. Not on my watch. So you come. Put in the work. Let's do this, ladies. We ain't got to stay here. We ain't got to keep walking around broken. We ain't got to keep walking around with masks on. We ain't got to keep walking around not knowing who we are. We don't have to keep walking around all upset. And let's be unbothered.
Unbothered. Yay.
All right. I love you. Good night. I'm not going to say anything else, because then y'all going to get me
Peace.
started and then we'll never leave. See
Peace.
ya.
Stay at peace and not in pieces, y'all.